Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki and July is finished. And that means the July Junk Journal Challenge 2025 that Lee Creates here on YouTube put together. A lovely list of prompts for us to play with, and thank God we didn't have any for the weekend, so I have finished this on time. So today we are going to do a flip through of all the pages I made. Some of them I have done process videos for, the rest, well, you'll just have to see them now. So I did a video on how I made this journal using 100% junk. Absolutely loved how it turned out. And here is our first page. So the prompt was torn edges. So very, very simple. I just had scraps of paper. In this case, I had a piece of black cardstock. I had to use a base for some of my pages because I used shopping bags, and on some of the pages, of course, there was the branding, so we had to cover that up. And then I just grabbed scraps from my painty papers, book page, you name it, just glued them all down, and a pretty heart in the middle. Very simple page. Certainly didn't need to do a process video on that one. Then the next prompt was a touch of gold. So what I did, I grabbed all sorts of little bits from my stash that were monochrome. I've woven them together and I've put a gold one through there. So that is our touch of gold. And of course, a little gold number 2 for prompt number 2. Then on this side, I didn't place my flower as well as I should have. As you can see, poor little petals are a bit bent over, but I have got a process video of how I made this. I have put it under the playlist Creative Journaling. So if you want to go and have a sticky beak there, but I do love how it turned out. But I mentioned in that I wish I'd done the flower onto a scrap of paper so that I could have placed it exactly where I wanted. I didn't realise when I glued this down that I had got a bit carried away there. But that doesn't matter. I still love how this flower turned out. The next prompt was, the prompt for this one was botanical. So I forgot to mention that. I had this shopping bag that had a botanical print on it. So that was the easy choice. And yes, so that's botanical. Then we flip on over and it's something vintage. So I decided to go with a sewing theme. I've put a piece of a pattern, you know, that thin pattern tissue underneath. I had a little printable of a sewing machine. I've got a little tiny advert there about silk, the old-fashioned pin container. My mother still has one of those. Some buttons. I used a little scrap of a doily and made a little flip up, a little bit of lace, bit of tape measuring. I've got a little journal card here. I've got a printable doily, a little pin, etc. So I just went with a vintage sewing theme for that page. Then the next prompt was tag. So I've made this coffee tag. I used a piece of cardboard from a packet of, I don't know if it was coffee or not, irrelevant. I just did stenciling layers and to try and cover the majority of the branding. Had this lovely Stamperia piece, and then I used another part of the packaging to die cut out the word coffee. And if you want to see how I actually put this page together, I do have a process video for that one. But coffee is one of my favorite things, so I had to find a prompt where I could do something coffee themed. So that's exactly what I did there. Then the next prompt, there we go, was one colour. So took a little bit of liberty here. I love teal, aqua, all those shades, and so this is not technically one colour, but I went through my scraps and found everything that was close to it, and I've just cut or torn out triangle shapes and made this circle. And I think this says lagoon teal. So lagoon is, if lagoon was an actual colour, it would be something like that. So my little bit of liberty there has been taken with that one. Then the next prompt was stamp it. So I just went with a postal theme. So to cover the branding, I have a bit from a magazine that involves some postcards. I've added a pen, a little airmail stamp, an actual old Aussie stamp. This was a little one, a stamp that I was gifted, a homemade variety, of course a wax seal, and a mailbox, and an actual stamp too. So that's the stampy thing well and truly taken care of. Then our next prompt was words, and I decided to go with a vintage office theme. I have a process video for this. Thanks to Tracy Fox Creative, she had a little freebie kit ages ago, and I've made a couple of things with it, but I grabbed it out again. This was a tag. I cut that off, little filing cabinet. I have a process video of how I put this one together, so if you want to watch that, by all means do. Then the next prompt over here was lace. I've done a very simple page. This is a piece of paper that I got from a news agency that was clearing out stock to make your own invitations, and I thought this sort of striped thing looked a bit boudoir-ish, wallpaper-ish type arrangement. I've simply stamped on a chandelier to give that vibe. Then I had this particular piece sitting on my phone from years ago, and I always said one day I would use it. So I'm not even sure where I got it from, but what I did, I printed this out and cut it out, obviously. Then I cut myself a rough triangle, and then I just glued on lace after lace after lace to finish the dress off. And then I was gifted a little pack of these cute little coat hangers, so I decided to add one of those in. So a very simple page, but I do love how it turned out. All right, then the next one, I have a process video for this. The prompt was worn, and I did the traditional, something old, worn out, and I went, no. So I had this beautiful free printable from Antonio Makes, and I've gone for worn as in jewelry and bling and pretty things. I have a process video for this if you'd like to watch that. Then the next prompt is scribbles and doodles. So I just did a background with scraps. Now, all of these bits here, like these black and white bits, they've been done with a Sharpie marker on magazine pages, or this one was paint. I actually hand drew this stem and leaves. I had a whole page of them on a magazine page. And so I used that. And then these flowers, I actually used coffee to paint the flowers. I did all this for the 100-day project 2 years ago, and I tried a few different things. I did every single prompt onto a magazine page. So I had all this in my stash, so that was nice and easy. And so scribbles and doodles, I think we've sort of covered that. And then I just added a few other little scraps just to, give it some life. But love how that turned out. Actually, I must do more of these flowers. They actually turned out so well. So now we're going to flip over. And our next prompt was a window or peek through. Well, my favourite window is one that provides a view of the ocean. So I just grabbed some fun bits from my stash, things that I would probably never use otherwise. For example, a VW with a surfboard on top and a very colourful toucan. We don't have toucans in Australia, but that's beside the point. And, I'm adding one. And this was a cutout from a magazine. And then you flip it open and you have a magazine image of a beach, a couple of narwhal arrangements that I would probably never use elsewhere. Little ship cut out from a magazine, a sticker, things I had in my stash that represented fun at the beach. And this was a piece of cardstock. I just cut out the window part that was printed on there. So I have my view of the ocean. Then the next prompt was map. So I decided we needed a travel themed page because I love traveling. So at the back we have a vintage map piece. Then I just got some really cute images off the internet and printed them nice and small and just collaged all that down. I have a process video for this if you'd like to see how I made this, and I love my little tag. It's so cute. So yes, you can go and watch that if you like. Then the next one was faded photograph. So again, we've got a beach theme. I have a Kaiser Craft kit that I have had for umpteen years, and it had these faded sort of photos on a cut apart sheet. And then I loved how they'd muted all like the beach photos and things to give them a vintage vibe. So I went with that, some little beach holiday snaps, and that was a very quick and simple page, but did the job. Then this next one, this one had me stumped for a while. I couldn't think of what to do because the prompt was written in the margins. And then finally I went, hang on a minute, a recipe. So we have it written in the margin, and my margin here has some gram sizes instead of cups. And I've actually got the recipe here. I've done that as a little folder. So if I ever actually want to make beetroot and chocolate scrolls, I can. And then, of course, I just fussy cut some magazine images out to finish off that page. So that's that one done. Then we flip over. The next one is, the prompt was postcard, excuse me. And again, I thought, oh, the traditional vintage postcard thing. Yeah, nah, let's do something different. I received this postcard from Coeco when I won a giveaway that they did last year. And I did a little bit of a vintage desk theme with this. I've got all sorts of cute pens in my little pen cup holder, etc. I have a process video for this too, if you'd like to see how that one came together. Then our next prompt was found in the forest. So what I've done here, I grabbed some leaves, I put paint on them, and put them down on magazine pages. And so I've created a little bit of a forest vibe here. And the forest I went for was a rainforest, because here in Australia, where I live in Queensland, we have beautiful rainforests full of very pretty things. Now, my backing page was a shopping bag, which again, I just grabbed leaves from the garden, painted with a brush on them and stamped them down onto the shopping bag. So I have used that as my background, and then I've added a little stamped image here. I've got flowers cut out from magazines, another stamped image, a pretty butterfly, a lorikeet, and a little possum. So I went with rainforest for that prompt. Then the next prompt was bird, so we've gone birdie again. Oh, again, I couldn't figure out how to do this. I wanted to do something a bit different. And I had grabbed this piece of paper that had peacocks and things on it, and put it in my little basket when I was collecting things to do this particular project. And there was only one complete peacock on that sheet, but I've managed to fussy cut that out. And then I've just gone with an Indian vibe, you know, palace, jewels, bling, bright colours, because peacocks are apparently often seen in Indian palaces. So that's how I did this. It's just scraps of paper. I had this little scrap of pretty gold ribbon, so I decided that would work, because, you know, they often have those things, you know, beautiful fabrics that blow in the wind in the heat, but it keeps things cool. And then, of course, we added some bling, because bling, I love it. So that's how I did bird. And I didn't As you can see, I only glued it down a tiny bit in the middle so that I could tuck this in underneath. So we flip on over. I did a process video on this too. Again, tea bag. Oh, painting on tea bags. Yeah, oh no. In the end, this is what I ended up with. I have made a tea bag, quite literally. If you want to see how I did all this, you can go and watch that process video. But I am very happy with how that turned out after spending a lot of time deliberating on what on earth to do for that prompt. That's what we ended up with. Then over we go, and I was determined to include a Christmas in July page, but I kept looking through all the prompts and I just couldn't find one where it would fit until I realised old person. Well, I think Santa classifies as old person. So I had to cover up the branding. I grabbed this lovely shimmery pink paint and I literally just slapped it down. This whole piece is a leftover piece from a video I did. I made a Christmas journal. I had a page left, so I've just fussy cut that out. And then I grabbed some gold glitter paint that's clear with glitter and a little one of these things. This thing here, and I just dipped it into the paint and then, you know, daubed it down. I thought we definitely needed some glitter to add to that page. And then, of course, I had this little Santa printout, no idea where from, and I've added just a tiny bit of glitter to that too. And then we've turned this into a pocket. I had this very cute little tag in my stash that says joy, so I decided we would add that because Christmas brings a lot of joy, especially to children's. So I got to do my Christmas in July page, so very happy with how that turned out. Then the next prompt was antique pattern. This is another one I ummed and ahed over for so long, trying to decide what theme to use. And I went, you know, I don't know of any pattern older than the stars, and how for centuries people have tracked the stars. Egyptians, you name it, probably way further back. So I went on a hunt through my stash and I found this very cute old image of the supposed sky. I added this little cutout from a book because we are currently in Leo. It's was my daughter's birthday on the 31st of July, so I thought we'll add Leo. I found this cutout. This was an old, whatever you call them, you know, that they measured the stars and distances and everything with. On the background here, I've got a piece of Kaisercraft paper that had a cloud and then the sky above it. Of course, we added a few little sparkly stars. I felt that I needed something up there. And then, of course, we've got a window. And when we look out at the night sky, yes, we see stars and things, but people have been studying that for years. So I went antique pattern. I think that covers it nicely. Then we're going to flip over, and the prompt is ticket. And I was going to do another travel page, and I went, well, no, I've already done a travel theme page. Let's try and come up with something different. So what I did, I had this picture of Mozart and a concert that I think I got from a Daphne's Diary, a very old one. So I'm thankfully, when I grabbed that out of my stash of magazine cutouts, the image of Mozart fitted perfectly on the space that I had. So I went, okay, that's what we're doing. So I've glued that down just to cover the branding. And then I've just built a little collage of pretty things that, you know, ladies get dressed up when they went to the opera, or probably still do actually. But I've put a bit of music page down, a little bit of pianola page. I've got ruffled satin, I've got sequins, a very cute bit of gold lace, fabric that's gold printed, some bling, buttons. You get the vibe. It's not a pocket or anything. It's just a little collage down in the corner there, with, of course, a ticket on top, and the little bit, the Mozart bit that was up the top of that page, I've put in down there. So that was ticket done. And then we get to the very last page, And the prompt is book page. Well, I tell you what, one of my favourite books is some form of art journal. They are a book, so I decided to go with an arty theme. My background is a piece of book page that has paint splotches on it and a bit of gold as well that I did with a gel plate. And then I have a beautiful Stamperia scrapbook pad, and I cut this from there and this watercolor palette and the brush, some paint. I stamped these onto white, it's sort of a whitey pearly paper. These are in my collection, and so are these words. So that is my last page, and that is the end of Junk Journal July. No, sorry, July Junk Journal Challenge. I'm trying not to do the wrong thing and call it Junk Journal July, which was Meg's domain, but seeing she decided not to do it anymore, we've made the best of it. I'm so happy with these prompts. I love how this journal turned out. I hope you participated, and even if you haven't finished, just keep going. It doesn't matter. I know it's August now, but if you've started your July journal, just go and finish it because it's a lot of fun. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments box below. And if you could give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. And until next time, bye for now.